Right. Yeah, I guess I kind of gotta turn my volume up. Dun, 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 dun. Oh, that's my hand frozen on the screen. Why does it do that? Like this one camera battery I have just does not take kindly. Let's just see. Let's see if that works. Hey y'all, how's everyone doing? Sorry to reschedule you all two times there. It was a brutal week. Good to be back. See some familiar faces.
A little bit more expensive as well, just because there's more admin work. I actually don't like doing different options because it's just messy.
How do I mute Amelia here? There you go. Emilio. We'll just give everyone a minute to jump in. This is gonna be an interesting one because it's probably kicking off 2025 with a little bit less on the tactical, more which I'm gonna give you like the routines and the pieces, right? Um, this one's gonna be a little bit more on the, I want to say, the philosophical side of kind of the principles and the things be happening behind the scene, because I really question this time is like, why can somebody take the same actions?
Recording.
Oh, oh, I gotta be on mute duty here. Why can somebody take the same actions as another person but get wildly different results if they follow the same protocol and the same thing? And that really kind of got me going down a bit of a tangent to say, well, what are some of the subtle things that happen? And often these things are very subtle. They're not on the surface, meaning that it's very easy to just go to someone and say, like, post content on a platform or run ads, right? But what is the things that are actually making the things and everything that is happening, the results specifically, actually manifest and become there? And so I'm going to be hitting on that. We're going to be hitting on a lot of things in this one. Let me just pull this up and I'll drop the doc. And we're just going to kick things off. Okay, cool. Link, view. Oh, here we go. Okay, I'll put that in Canva. And I can mute all people coming in by settings in the participants pad as a host. Oh, I didn't even know you could do that. How do you mute everyone? Is there a button? Mute all. Huh. That's beautiful. Thank you. Yes, allow participants to so that's beautiful. Okay. Let me share my screen. Let's dive into this. Cool. So a little bit different. So first, we're going to talk about finding silent wins. I'm going to do an overview of the productized model, and then we're going to focus on some protocols. All right. So my overarching idea with this was just giving you my plan and then you just being able to take it and run it yourself, because you can take as much of this or as little of it as you want. The goal here is to simply give you the actions to take, because a lot of the times we think that we have to do these big, massive, audacious things that sound extremely overwhelming. And because they're overwhelming, we don't end up actually doing it. Like, as an example, if you are new to running ads, maybe the idea of launching a funnel and running ads sounds like a lot to you. And if that is, that's okay. But the idea here is just to give you the actions and the principles that I follow and I'm going to be following on a weekly, monthly, and daily basis so that you can basically run them yourself. So now this is the 7th year since I started my biz as a freelance chatbot, messenger chatbot builder way back in the day. After I took an online course from, who was that? Andrew, can't remember. He runs Mictor. Overall, like, I've gone through this progression. I've seen what works and I've seen what doesn't. And more specifically, though, I found a path for my lifestyle. That's like the biggest thing. It was always hunting down and finding the path that worked well for me as well as my clients, but being abundantly selfish here, me, that actually supported the lifestyle I want, which was being able to send emails, make offers, and do all of that without having this massive amount of team and infrastructure and creating a container that I could ultimately create what I want to create. And it is because it's built on the foundational principles like that have been working since the 1950s. Like as an example, uh, when I discovered how good it was to get buyers through paid ads, and I doubled down on this, it's like, oh, of course, this is going to keep working pretty much forever, for eternity. Quite simply because people have been getting buyers through different mediums across vast, like basically over the past 100 years or close to 100 years. In the sense, like before we had Facebook, people were running newspaper ads, they were running advertorial ads, they were sending mail to your actual physical mailbox, right? And so the principle of actually what I'm doing here of getting a buyer and turning that buyer into a client like hasn't changed. This is literally what Jay Abraham used to do back in the day too. Nothing like tactics come and go, but the principles don't change. And so as an example, I remember 2 years ago, like this was this hot thing. Everyone was running these virtual dinner parties to try to get clients. And I just did a search for this. And you could just see all these people that were like, hey, I'm running a virtual dinner party. Like, do you want to come? Right? Like for coaches, for online entrepreneurs, right? They just took the template and it works for a small, short period of time because it's new, but then very quickly it stops working. And that's the big thing I see with tactics is that tactics very quickly fade. I want to focus on principles that I can keep using over and over again. And I know for a fact that getting buyers will always work. It'll just always continue to work, which is why it's one of the things I'm doubling down on this year. The interesting thing about this, though, is that you can make anything work. Like there's people still, I say this about buyers, right? There's still people out there right now that are doing so well with webinars. There's people that are crushing it just on organic social media, right? You can make micro offers work. What you choose to make work is really your choice, and it's what you want to focus your time and energy and effort on, right? You just have to choose. So I'm going to give you my plan that I know works well and worked really well for me in 2024, but and I'm just going to basically double down on it in 2025 because why try to fix what is not broken? So first of all, what we want to do is we want to find some silent wins from 2024. This is really key. And I think it's something that a lot of us gloss over, but it's very important. We will often do something that worked very well and then just completely forget about it pretty much a week later. In the sense, it's like, wow, that thing worked really, really well. And I hear this from entrepreneurs all the time. They do something that works and then they quickly jump to the new thing. And what we want to do instead is say, okay, this worked really, really well. Let's see how we can take what the essence of what worked and continue doubling down on it in this new year. So here's just a few quick questions to figure this out. You can do this on your own time. We can just, I'm leaving this reference here for you. You can run through it on your own pace. But these are some great questions to actually ask yourself and figure out what worked for me really well last year that I can then carry over into this year. And a lot of it is just understanding and saying like, oh, wow, if I look back, I see these types of offers and these types of messaging, or when I was talking about this specific thing, this seemed to work significantly better than when I was trying to do this thing over here, right? And that's often the problem is that our attention and everything is so scattered in a million different directions. And we really want to figure out what works really well and then just build off that versus building in 10 different directions, right? So if you find a specific type of content piece works for you, or a specific type of ad, or a specific type of offer, like the best thing you can do is just simply double down on that, right? Next, we want to focus on cutting. So we want to also, like, I think this is a big thing, especially for me. I don't know about you all, but me in the past is I will just try to stack way too much on my plate instead of figuring out like what are actually the underperforming things that I'm spending attention and time on and what do I need to cut out. So what consume the most time and energy with little or negative rewards? Especially there is negative, like if it's wasted time or energy or frustrates the hell out of you, that doesn't create a positive outcome, right? Important to also look, right? What offers bombed? Like what did terribly? Why did it not work well? Right? What gave me the biggest headache in my business last year? What themes, ads, social media posts perform the worst? Like, this is really key to know, because then you want to take those lessons and bring them forth into 2025. So you can say, okay, we don't do this, we do more of this, right? And what do I need to stop doing in order to stay in my zone of genius? So this was my own finding. And I just put some of the cuts, or I put both here, but I think a big thing that I mistakenly did in 2024 was I started catering a little too much to like lower caliber, lower energy people. In the sense that some people that were a little bit earlier on in their journey, and or someone that would like send me their entire life story through email and say like, oh, I only have like X amount of money. Like, will this work for me? I need this to work, blah, 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 blah. And I'll talk more on this later, but in essence, like, this is not the type of client I want, and I shouldn't be spending my time and energy actually catering to this. And I'm going to have a solution for this, which is quite simply, hey, go try this offer. If it works for you, you have your answer. If it works, if it doesn't, then no problem, right? I would say another one is running mid-ticket offers that I'm only running because I want a client boost versus creating what I want. And this is a big thing of shifting in 2025. I really want to get a little bit more selfish in the sense that I loved the workshops and everything that I was running in 2024, but I really want to like talk about specific things this year that I know, as an example, will probably not sell well on paid ads. Per example, this is like the next training I want to do about ecosystems. May work okay, but I doubt it. It's not going to be a very viral topic like micro offers or mid-ticket offers or productized offers as an example, but it's still something I want to do. And so I'm just going to do it anyway, right? Beginner language in my messaging. This is a big one. If you want to cater to the right people, you have to then speak to what they care about. And if I'm talking about like, oh, get your first client, or maybe getting your first buyer as an example, right? The clients I've been working with that I really, really enjoy, they're already a few steps ahead. And so having beginner language trying to cater again to everyone is just a negative. That's a no-no for me. Having my attention monetized by social media platforms. We probably all spend too much time on social media. That's okay. But I really am diligent on cutting that this year. And then thinking I have to respond to every person who messages me. So this is a big one. Like I'm at this point now where I have so many cold emails from copywriters and different things like this. And I think for a while, I always thought like, oh, I have to spend all this time responding to these people. I really don't. I just took a step back and said, I don't have to respond to someone if they're asking for my attention. It's like my choice. And so what I'm really diligently doing now is making sure that if people are sending me messages that are just cold DMs or asks or not relevant, then I'm just either like letting my support team handle it, or I'll just completely ignore it, one of the two. And then comparing to competition or peers. Like, this is a big one too that I want to say I was really good at last year, and a really good reminder to double down on this year is just to stay in your lane and not be in the comparison game. Because as soon as you start entering the comparison game, especially with your offers, you start making copycat like offers. We saw that person, someone posted like literally ripped off my entire thing. And I know his offer may get a few sales, but then it will bomb because it just literally copied what I did, right? And everyone has seen my offer in the market. So if you try to copy someone and it looks too much like someone else, or you're trying to just basically model someone's business, without knowing what's happening behind the scenes, it can be a very dangerous recipe, especially when you don't know the numbers and the things happening in the business, which is a big mistake I've seen people make, where they'll go and copy a model or like messaging or something, but they don't even actually know if it's working. They just see competitor X over here using it, so they just assume it is. So this is a very dangerous thing. You really want to just focus on your own, like stay in your own lane, look to others for reference and ideas of what's working. I do this all the time with copy, with offers, especially when I'm coming up with different offers. But it's really, really important. You got to stay in your lane and stay focused, right? And then these are the things I'm going to double down on. So I'm going to definitely just do more mid tickets. I love that last year. I'm going to do a lot more of these. I love hosting these. They're so much fun. And there's so many things I want to teach on. Right. So I'm going to keep running these. I'm definitely, this was the one I did where because I was sick last week, I was going to run some ads to this, but just didn't happen. That's why I wanted to test the lower price point, but oh well, doesn't matter. We're here. And so I'm going to definitely keep running this. This was like the number one ascension strategy that worked in 2024 to get people just like you all into a setting like this, deliver, and then actually have people saying, hey, I want to reach out and become a client just because you were able to help me or you really enjoyed this process, right? So mid tickets, 100% doubling down on that. One of the things I'm wanting to double down on too is more evergreen lead gen. So that means like scaling my micro offers up a little bit further. Also, I want to test, and I'm showing a few things I'm testing later, but testing some free lead magnet stuff as well, just to play with it, see if it works. Working with more one-on-one clients, this is one thing I'm really excited to do, and I've really enjoyed the clients I'm working with right now, and it's just solving a higher caliber of problem, which is amazing. And then publishing and taking a creator first approach. So I want to definitely be more prolific on video content, all those things, and then intimacy. So we're actually going to be hosting our first live event in London in February, which I'm very excited about. And I'll have more details coming on that later this week. So I just want you all to take 5 minutes here, and you can go through these questions, but just take 5 minutes to look back on 2024 and see what immediately pops out that you want to cut and double down on. So I'll just leave. I'm just going to turn this off for 5 minutes here and just have a even like just you could if you're someone just likes to talk out loud like I do. I've got two kids, like time is of the essence for me. So one of the things I like to do with journaling is I just like to talk, and that's one of the things that I do to just get my mind flowing. So write down though the few things you want to cut and double down on it, and I'll give you guys 5 minutes. Right, we'll just give one more minute. Right. So, out of curiosity, and feel free to just put in chat here, what were some of the few things that just doing this exercise of either cutting things or doubling down, what were some of the few things that stood out? Delegation, yes. VA is key. Yeah, Tom. Yeah, it's funny that we have the texting environment, I think, especially too. I've seen it's you don't really have a closed loop with a conversation. So I always try to close loops when I'm having back and forth with clients. Lead who took action. Nice, Tammy. That's awesome. Yeah, that's exactly the right thing to do. Then double down on those offers. Yeah, that's exactly right. Simplify my stuff. Watching and implementing. Cool. I'll have to do a training on delegation too. I'd love to do that. VAs are great and they're don't need a ton of money to do it. Excellent. Yeah, if you actually go through and spend the time to do this, you'll like the biggest thing I would say is you will find that there is just on the marketing side, especially like you will find that specific messaging and specific offers just works significantly better than others. And I'll give you kind of two examples of this in the sense that I've had mid-ticket offers that have worked really well. They've gone very viral, but the ascension was good, not great. And then I've had mid-ticket offers where I literally thought they bombed, meaning like um it literally in my mind, I'm like, the numbers on this make it a failure. Like I was just super unhappy with it. But then I got a fantastic one-on-one client out of it. So it's like, is that actually a failure then if the numbers are lower, but you actually got the outcome that you were looking for, which is a really great client to work with? And oftentimes, like you'll find there's just this like um very interesting little subtle nuances in language and offers that will bring the right people in and keep the wrong people out. But it's like if you start removing those things, then the whole offer changes. And it's funny because I just had someone in our group that was basically did an offer that did not work as well as he previously did it. And he looked at the previous page that performed really well, and it just had some subtle differences on the page. And that's how little changes to messaging can make such a big difference. So really important to see that and just to recognize like when you have a big loss to just pay attention and say like, oh wow, this worked really, really well. Um, yeah. Consistent vids because I want to. Hiring VAs, 6 emails a week instead of 4. Oh, you should get that up to 7, Fortune. And assume one-to-one clients will learn to film our product and screen. Cool, man. Yeah, YouTube, I really want to double down on YouTube, especially because now my team is literally just cutting the videos, putting them on Instagram for me, and I don't even touch Instagram. Like they just do stuff there. And because the ads are running there, it's just growing followers. So I'm not really doing it there. It's just kind of a placeholder platform. But at the same time, it's great that if someone Googles my name, they're like, oh, he has an Instagram, check this out. Like, oh, he's got YouTube, check this out. That's the ultimate goal. Just a little bit more consumption. So let's get back to this. So the productized coach model. Uh, First thing I just wanted to kick off with this is building your ecosystem. So I'm going to do a full in-depth training on this of showing how the entire model and everything flows together. But in essence, like we're not building promotional businesses. So one of the things I'm working with a one-on-one client right now with is she had a very successful promotional business that worked until it completely broke and started burning money. And in essence, what that looked like was, and I've seen this with many people where they have, let's just say they run a 3-day challenge or a 5-day challenge, and they do that once a quarter, right? So basically, their entire marketing is dead until that little small window, and then they like market like a crazy person, right? And the problem with that is that people often, like, you have all these people that are sitting on your email list, but they're just not paying attention at all. Like, especially when during a promotional period, because they're like, who is this person? I haven't seen this person at all. Now they're just selling me something, right? Or trying to get me to this free thing that obviously is going to be a pitch. So we want to make sure that we're not in a promotional business, like we're in building a relationship centric business. And this is really, like, a lot of people have said, like, how does the model work? Like, this is the thing that makes the model work, is it's building relationships at scale with your people and really consistently showing up. And I actually coined this term micro ecosystem, because what we're actually doing is just taking our tiny little, like, microscopic sliver of the internet, building and cultivating relationships at scale. And this is how our people in our audience buy without sales calls, because we don't actually need this massive audience to make the numbers work. If you think about it, I did the math down a little further down, and the number of clients I need to hit $1 million business is like less than 100. It's not that many. There's millions of coaches out there. Like, I need less than 100. The numbers are very, very small. And so often what we want to focus is building the relationships at scale and doing it consistently. Because if we're not consistent with it, then people just immediately then often tune out and go in a different direction. So yes, it takes a little bit of daily work, but we'll talk about that in the protocols down below. Again, we don't want a promotional business though. We want to infuse promotion into what we do, but having a promotional business is a very scary recipe, because it means that we live and die by the promo. And if you have a bad launch, then you can be really screwed. And I have heard, especially recently from a client, like, had a $60,000 wasted ad spend launch that resulted in no clients, basically. And this is what I really dislike about launch centric businesses that just focus on the launch, is that if that launch doesn't go well, it's a very, very stressful period. It also then creates a lot of stress around the business. So instead, we're just going to focus on building an ecosystem. We're going to show up consistently. We're going to do a little bit of work every single day. And yes, we're going to infuse promotion into the business, but it's not going to be the center of the business, right? Ecosystems require care and attention, or they will die, though. Again, that's the big thing. You got to be consistent, right? Now, what we're doing here is we're doing this with this offer suite. So we have 3 core offers this moment. We have a productized offer, our mid-ticket offer, which is, again, you're in a mid-ticket offer right now, and a micro offer, right? The differences between all of them I won't talk too much about now. But in essence, what we're doing, like, the big thing to understand what we're doing is we're moving people from leads to buyers to premium buyers to clients, and even further going to premium clients as well. This is the way we're turning a stranger into a client. And these are the offers we use to do it, right? And often I have the arrows going this way, because in order to actually make sure this all flows, I want people to really start with their productized offer first, which is why when somebody joins the community or the Catalyst, the first thing I say is, hey, build your productized offer. Even if it's just taking your existing offer and putting it in a document so it's really abundantly clear. And if you want to sell it through sales calls, go for it. No worries, right? But we always want to start with this, because this will dictate what we create here, and it will dictate what we create here, right? And if you have any of these broken, then your ascension is just gosh awful, and it doesn't work. Right. So this is the math I did to hit 1 million. Again, we don't need a massive business. Like, that's a nice thing, right? I did just very simple numbers here, just counting for Catalyst and 100K Club, because I said one of the focuses I had is working with more clients one-on-one. So I'm like, let's just make that a staple. So I just said 12 clients in this one-on-one 100K Club at $650 a week is this. And then 50 clients in Catalyst at $250 a week is this. And that pretty much hits our number, right? I need a 3% conversion rate on this, which means I need 1,600 buyers, right? Every single month. And I'm like, I could definitely do that. I could definitely make that math work. But the only thing, or sorry, this is even like a little bit less because I'm talking about the total number here in total. So 1,600 buyers, I believe, in a year is what I said. If they're premium, I will say, because the conversion rate here is subjective. It depends. Again, some offers will convert better, some offers will convert worse. But I'm not accounting for any of the revenue from mid-ticket offer or micro offer or community sales here. I'm literally just setting my targets, and I know like based on these numbers, if I can hit this and I accounted for churn in this as well, then I can make this happen. And I'm like, I could do 50. I could definitely do 50 in a year, right? Especially with what I have. So to do this though, and you can set your own numbers, it's very easy. Just take whatever your weekly or your monthly is and figure out exactly how many clients you need. And I'd probably times it by 1.3 for churn. So if you're like, hey, I need let's just say 50 clients, then times it by 1.3 and you can figure out your churn rate. Like, because there's churn in every business. It is what it is, right? So new tests I'm running this year to hit this target. So there's a few things I will be testing. The first is the free to paid. Okay, so I've seen people have success going from free to paid in the past. And so I'm going to test it. We're going to see how it goes, right? My big thing with running ads is that as long as I can optimize for a purchase pixel, I'm happy. If I have to optimize for a lead pixel, I'm never running that ad in my life. Hell no. Just because every time I've done that, the leads have just been terrible. And I think it's just because in the market we're in, unless you're like really narrow with your messaging and the actual landing page copy, just doesn't work well. So I personally love just optimizing for a purchase pixel. So we'll be testing this and we'll see how it runs. But I mainly want this for organic because if I'm going to start amping up more on YouTube or more on LinkedIn or different platforms, then I want to make sure somebody has an easy entryway into our world. And a big thing here that I want to just a big distinction of why the buyer is important. It is the math behind it, yes. But the biggest thing is really the consumption because if somebody buys something, they're 10 times more likely to actually consume it versus if somebody opts in for something for free. Again, we all opt in for free stuff. We forget about it a week later. But when we actually buy something, often, again, not always, but often we pay attention to the actual content. And that's the goal here is to actually get that consumption. And so this is one of the things I'll be testing, mainly for organic, but I'll test some paid ads behind it just to see how well it goes. Another test is live in-person events. So again, running our first in-person event this year in London, it's going to be a small group, like 8 to 12 people, going to keep it really tight, all about just installing the productized coach model. And I want to host at least 3 this year's of various sizes and levels of intimacy. Because again, we're all kind of sitting behind the computer a lot all day. Zoom like this is great, but I really don't think there's anything better than in person. And so that's one of the things that I'm really going to be focused on is saying, hey, can I do more in-person events? And even just say like, can I go to this city and make something happen here? That would be really awesome. The other thing I'm going to test, and these are kind of like this one's a little bit further down the line, but one of the things I want to see is, can I run ads directly to a funnel to get one-on-one clients, right? So skipping the buyer, skipping everything, like probably going direct to some sort of application funnel. Can that still work? I have no idea. I used to do this back in the day, and where I would have a video sales letter, I would have an application form, I would book a call, I would take the calls, I would close clients. Like it worked back in the day. I want to know if it still works today and if it's still even viable to do something like this, going after just high caliber individuals. That's the big thing I want to test to see. It's like, again, this is a, $20,000 plus yearly investment. That is very easy to get started, but it's still a 20K plus investment. So I want to test this. I want to see, can this work? Just testing different things, right? And then content. And I gotta, do my spell check. This year, I want to up my content game with AI, and I was playing around with some AI stuff and like, wow, there's really no reason that you can't easily be omnipresent everywhere. And again, I just want to bring people into my ecosystem and hit them with the daily emails and build the relationship at scale, right? So there's no reason in my mind with AI and just having a few VAs that you can't really be on different platforms pretty easily now. So right now for me, I realize that the reason I'm not doing this, it's just a skill gap. I just don't know how to do it. And I don't know how to do it consistently with my routine as it stands right now. So I'm going to be testing different content systems, and then just make sure that also when somebody Googles my name or Googles something, that we have something there so that it actually shows up. Because I think right now, if somebody Googles Zach Hansen, it probably goes to my old website. I don't even know. I haven't checked. But that's one of the things I really want to double down on this year is brand and content. Now, is there any questions about these things before I go forward about what I'm testing, anything here? Curious about. YouTube is great for free to pay.
Exactly.
Hey,
Good
Fortune.
fortune. Hey, I just want to be clear about your numbers up at the top on your simple math section.
Yep.
Because I heard you say something about one-to-one, so that the 100K club, those are your one-to-one clients, and that's why it's 12, whereas the community is obviously the 50, correct?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so I have a limit of 12 on here, and my goal for this is 50. I'll only ever have like 100 in the catalyst ever. Just my goal for one-on-one is 12. I don't want more than 12 one-on-one clients. And I say this, I'm probably going to keep this at like 8 to start, and we'll see how manageable it goes, because I really don't want to just slaughter my schedule. I just really all the people I've worked with at this level, I've really enjoyed working with if they're the right fit people. Chris, YouTube is great for free to paid. Much of my clients come from YouTube. Yeah, I agree. And honestly, I think the nice thing with YouTube is that if you have some form of traffic coming into your business already, like YouTube is such a great tool to just pre-sell them, like, and just it further enhance the relationship. Because one of the things is like we all learn and listen and consume differently. Like some people just love to read, some people love to listen, some people love to watch. And the nice thing with YouTube is you can do watch and listen. Because I know with background play and stuff, if they're paying for premium, but YouTube is phenomenal. I think YouTube's one of the best platforms that everyone should be on. Do you still have the AZ platform when you created? Yes. AZ funnels? Yes, I do. Tammy, yeah. Yes, that definitely works. Cool. All right, we'll keep going. So this is a few things here of subtle forces that make this work, right? And again, this is what I was talking about at the start. Like two people can do these same actions, but have wildly different results. So one has many clients, another has none. Like, what's the difference? And what I noticed is that there's a few distinct things, and I've seen this with myself, and I've seen this with clients over the past 12 months, especially, that really dictate the success or failure of doing anything. So let me give you a breakdown of a few of the common ones. So number one is don't keep track of time, which is very counterintuitive, but I love this quote from Naval. You can't keep track of time because if you do, you're going to run out of time. I think it's so true. Because as soon as you start kind of trying to keep track of like, I need to hit this goal by X or Y consequence happens, then it creates a lot of stress, overwhelm, and unnecessary urgency that is just not healthy. Because if you don't hit that goal by then, oftentimes what that can lead to is someone giving up. And it's exactly like that frame in Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl, where he talked about how people in the concentration camps, the ones that would actually like give up, because they'd be like, oh, we're going to be out by Christmas. Like, and then Christmas would come and all of a sudden they're all still in the concentration camp and those people would lose hope. And so one of the things is it's all about taking the daily actions and focusing on the actual process versus saying like, this is going to happen by this date if I continue doing this, right? It's about continuing the process and continuing the forward momentum no matter what. And I know this because I've literally been in months where I've made like, $5 and had $1,500 months and I didn't stop. I knew that there was a future. I could have stopped very easily. I had people telling me to stop that were very close to me. But I kept going forward in my business and I saw the path, right? And it took me many, many years to get to even this point, but it was a journey and it was worth it. And I didn't keep track and say like, oh, I have to hit this number by this date. I just kept the momentum going. And so anyway, don't keep track of time. I For on offer side, I see this night and day difference. So this is a clear example that I recently experienced. So I had a past client who's been always organic focus, wants to get ads, but like she was worried about it. She was very, very like, she always said like, oh, I've always worried or really stressed out about ads, right? So when I looked at what she was doing, she wasn't even using my templates that I say, hey, use these templates, they work. And they do. She was using generic AI copy, right? Like it was just like the most boring AI driven, like checklist copy. It wasn't really clear. Her vision for her offers are not clear. And she wasn't really getting the feedback and actually taking it and using it. And she did sometimes, like I remember one time she made some changes and started getting some sales, but she actually didn't double down on it. And she ended up giving up and just saying ads don't work for me and leaves it, right? So then this person, on the other hand, like launches a micro offer and gets some sales, but it wasn't consistently profitable, right? And so this individual would show up every single Catalyst call Monday and Thursday and would say, hey, this is what's going on with my offer. Here's the numbers, what's going on, right? And we'd make changes. Hey, go. And it was started as like headline changes, like bigger headline changes. And then it came down to, okay, well, you just have these big blobs of text. I think you need to go through and like underlines the benefits, bold the benefits, make certain words stand out, like make the big key things stand out. And then actually now as like profitable ROAS and getting consistent buyers, right? Like to the point where he just ran a workshop and he's like, oh yeah, all these new people were just came from the micro offer, right? I see this pattern all the damn time. And it's just the issue is the past client had a clear deadline of like, this has to work by Y. And they were really rushing and they expected like to just launch it and for it to work like immediately. And it's like the people that are on a deadline where they're like, it needs to happen by this often like are the ones that really struggle, right? Now, not saying like there's a time and a place to quit and to stop having an offer, like that's a different story. But when you can actually continuously take momentum to actually get a result, there's no reason that you shouldn't stop other than you're just giving up. And that's okay if you want to bow out, right? But the reality of what we do is that it can take time to get things working. We just don't know how much, right? It took me a while to get So Will You Sleep to the point it's at now. When I first launched it, it didn't work. Like it just didn't work well at all. I had to make tons of changes to it, right? So if you have a vision, don't sway from the vision. You just have to keep going until it works. And I love this from that Ben Hardy drilled into me, which was think from the future, not the present or the past. And it's very easy to get caught up in the now. We just always want to be connected with our future self to set our frame versus what's happening in the present moment. This is the way we stay out of chaos, which is very, very important. And again, with clients, I see the speed of results based on what has happened in their past and the assets they have built so far. So that's another thing to pay attention to. Okay, next, blind conviction. You will achieve your vision. This is a big one. Like and I want to say have blind conviction. You will achieve your vision, right? So if you have a target you set for yourself, having just like this blind belief that is actually people would just say you're crazy, you shouldn't talk about that, blah, 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 is a really good thing. And it completely goes against a lot of like, what is it? I guess our programming in the sense of like feeling safe and kind of reserved. But for me, like I talk very publicly that I am going to hit $1 million this year. Statistically, the chances of me doing that are extremely slim, like very, very slim, right? But I'm blatantly stating I'm going to do it. And I don't really like, this is kind of the thing is I've observed with leaders of all shapes and sizes that they have a complete blind conviction to achieving outcomes others thought to be impossible. And Elon Musk, I would say, is the best example of this. He's like, I'm going to send people to, we're going to send people to Mars and we're going to have a fully electric cars, right? You must have blind conviction that you are going to hit your target and your client's targets, right? So this is a fitness example. Like saying 300 people this year will get in the top 3% of their age bracket in health and fitness and show photos of what that looks like and just have complete blind conviction of what you are doing and what you're helping your clients do. That's almost like just someone would say like, how does he know this? Like, how can he or she be certain of this? But having that just extra confidence in your abilities and what you are bringing forth into the world is going to just make people pay more attention to you, and it will definitely work. I love the phrase like be delusionally confident you will hit your target and others will notice. That's a big thing I'm taking this year, right? Another one, showing up consistently. So I write to my list almost daily. I would say, 365. I'm probably going to show up 360 out of 365 days in your inbox this year. Like that's my thing. Attention is the most valuable asset because it dictates where your time goes. And this is the thing, we have so many things we can pay attention to nowadays that I really want to be the person that shows up every single day, bringing something of value and insight into your inbox. And it doesn't matter to me. Like, I know for a fact, like most people will not read every single one of my emails, but they might read 2, 3, or maybe even 4 or 5, or maybe they do read every single email, right? It doesn't matter. But I know the more reps I'm putting out there, like the more chances of exposure I have and someone coming away with just a little aha from one of the emails, right? And that's what actually leads to clients joining you and saying, yes, I want to continue working here. The theme here is consistency, and it's the most important piece of this, right? Just literally being consistent with anything. That's like the number one ingredient. Choose a cadence and set it. I always recommend daily. It's a little tough to especially if you're new to writing, but you can get it down to 15 minutes a day if you actually just stay consistent with it. And again, with new AI tools I'm rolling out in the community, it's going to be even easier. Cool. Another principle is speaking to the top. This is a big one. I see a lot of people make a mistake of, all right? And it's literally, they hear kind of what's that expression? The squeaky wheel gets the grease. And oftentimes, like, the lowest tier of client and people are often the loudest, right? The best clients are often the quietest. They're just silently doing their thing, and they come along and they're like, I want some help with this, right? But the bottom people are often like the loudest on social media. They're all over the place, right? Like, we often, though, because of that feedback, we speak to the bottom, right? And we really got to be careful of this, right? We don't want to just speak to everyone, like, they write and speak to everyone rather than the specific issues their dream clients actually have. And this is a really, really big thing. Example, like, you can create content right now, and I'm just taking this health and fitness one, of like just about losing weight, which is so broad, and it's going to get buried, and it's going to get like just completely trampled by everyone else, most likely, right? And if it does hit, then it's just so general that it's not going to relate to the actual maybe dream clients you want, right? So instead, like, creating content focused on the vision, which is targeted towards high achieving moms, like, these people would be focused on like balance, self-care, like how to work out between meetings so they can actually, actually like doing it all, right? Giving them the support they can do it all, right? These are kind of the core things that would actually get that client coming to you versus like just generic how-to weight loss stuff. And like, it's like me, I could talk about, hey, I'm going to show you how to run ads. I'm going to show you how to optimize your ads. My whole thing is, I'm going to show you how to get your ads to run themselves because I want people that are coming in and just like want this thing basically running in the background. They're not necessarily trying to scale it to like $2,000 to $5,000 a day. I'm probably not your person to scale ads that much. I'm just your guy if you want consistently buyers every single day coming in with a system that practically runs itself, right? Very different, very, very different, right? Finally, you attract high income people with philosophy. So this was a great quote I saw in one of J.K. Monalina's emails, and it just hit so true. Like, you attract low income people with promises, you attract high income people with philosophy. Low income people are more interested in the goal than the way they get there. They just want the promise now, however possible. High income people also want the goal, but to them, it's important to align with the way the goal is achieved. So your philosophy ends up attracting them more than your promise. And I think this is so damn true, because if you think about it, there's 1,000,001 ways to make $1 million. And if you just said, hey, I can help you make $1 million, like, you're going to get every single person would probably want an extra million, right? You can pay attention to so many people. But what you really want to focus on is your philosophy and your values and the way you operate and the way you run your business and the way you do what you do, because those are the things that will actually get the right people that care about those things as well into your world leaning in, right? And it's funny because I have found, like, the worst clients I worked with, they just wanted to hit the goal, like, no matter what. The best clients had already tried it all, and now they're like, I want actually not just to like hit this income target, but I really want the lifestyle and the time freedom and these specific pieces. And I love your process for doing it. They want to build a business on their own terms, right? And a good question I always hear about this is like, well, how does that work? Because as you know, I'm very against like avatars. I'm not a person of saying like, I'm going to help you build this perfect client avatar. What I really want you to do is actually set a vision, and then that gets the people that you want coming into your world. So let me show you what this looks like, because you're going to focus your messaging, your offers, and positioning around those dream clients. And oftentimes, like what we actually really want to do is just narrow in on that 1%, right? So we have this total addressable market. Let's just say this is like for my world, let's just say this is the coaching, consulting, the 3 C's, the coaching, consulting course creators, right? And for me, I'm like, okay, well, there's probably like 1% of people in there that are perfect, like absolutely perfect fit clients, right? They're this, they make, let's just say, 500K a year in their business right now. They're this, they're this, they're this, they're this, right? Cool. But what actually happens, the reality is, if we focus our messaging on just this 1% who we really want, that's basically setting our vision. So we've set our vision and we're saying, I'm going to help you do this, which really clearly relates to this 1%. Then what actually happens is that we get this huge other group that actually pays attention to the messaging. So even though we set this target and said, like, this is the group we want, if we actually just literally set the vision for where we're helping take someone based on our process or vision or philosophy, all of those things, then we actually end up getting a larger amount of market. And these ratios are probably horribly wrong. If you're looking, I'm looking at this circle, and like this more looks like 30% here with this green, but we're not going to talk about that. So in essence, this is really, really important, because we want to narrow the messaging, but then that actually also expands the market, because other people outside of that specific realm start leaning in as well, which is really important. So the big theme with this, though, is you don't want to cater to the masses. Like you really, and again, don't get caught in that trap of trying to go viral because you think it will cater to the masses. There's millions of coaches right out there right now, as an example, but I just want these people, which is why I'm going to focus on this, right? So here's a few good action steps. So who are the 1% of ideal clients that you want in your world? What do they care about that the 99% wouldn't? Like, what is the big things that these people care about? And I'll give you a perfect example of this from a real estate agent perspective. Because I was just having a chat with clients, right? Lots of people like this. But his thing is a little bit different. And he's really focused on helping people do it in a very short amount of time per week, and with like actually building genuine relationships. So his whole thing is, I'm going to show you how to install a system that literally you can do in 2 hours a week. And you don't have to like get on YouTube and record 20 hours of videos or like do all this complicated stuff. Instead, like, I'm just going to install this system so that the people that are in your sphere that know you, they're going to see all these ads on Facebook that are going to follow you around, and you'll get a few of those leads just giving you a call and saying, hey, I want to work with you, right? So his system is really built on the lifestyle side, not trying to build a massive real estate brokerage, right? Which a lot of these coaches out there, they're like, yeah, you want to get like, $100 million in commissions, blah, 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 right? He's really focused on the opposite. He's just like, I just want you to have a good life, be able to work and enjoy making a good living as a real estate agent, right? So ask yourself who those 1% are. What do they care about that the 99% of people wouldn't? And again, I would probably just leave money out. Don't say they're rich because I hate trying to qualify people for money. Oftentimes, let's just focus on the characteristics and the actions that they're doing every single day and what they're really trying to get to, right? What is the target you have for this year that you will radiate through your messaging as we move through the year? 2 great questions. Does anyone have questions on these subtle pieces? Received an alert from someone who purchased my book. Way too many upsells. I have 2 upsells in my funnel. That's funny. Certainty sells, prophecy creates profits. Yeah. Thank you, Carla. Appreciate you. Excellent. Okay, we'll keep going. Anyone has questions? Good. Pretty straightforward. Okay. Excellent. Let's do protocols. Okay. So to make this tangible, I want to give you the protocols I aim for. And if you can constantly follow the protocols, you get results. It's just a matter of time. It may take a few offer changes or, just changes in general to nail the one offer or the one promo, whatever, that changes your entire life in business. But when you hit it, it will pay outsized returns, right? I found that with Sell What You Sleep. It took a little bit of time to get here. And as soon as I did, this Sell What You Sleep was not my first micro offer. I tried an Evergreen Ads micro offer that bombed miserably way back in the day. And it wasn't until I like nailed Sell What You Sleep, what was that, 2-3 years ago, that I was like, my entire world started shifting in a new direction. Because again, once you hit it, it'll pay you outsized returns. The key thing is to stay at that long enough to see what works. Okay. So this is an overall big picture view of my month. I don't really do too much, I want to say like in-depth monthly or quarterly planning. I just kind of try to do this cadence, right? So overall, I am opening a mid-ticket offer. I then deliver the mid-ticket offer like we're doing right now, and I open the productized offer. I then close the productized offer and open another mid-ticket offer. And then I close the mid-ticket, open productized. Like this is literally just the standard cadence that I'd recommend for most people. Weeks may adjust. As an example, if I have a really big workshop, I'm like, oh, this thing is definitely going to be a very kind of viral ad-driven workshop. I might promote just that workshop for 2 or 3 weeks and then open and close the community a little bit less. But following this cadence will work very well for you, and it will allow you to test a lot more frequently. So if I get Sell What You Sleep, and the other thing too is if I get Sell What You Sleep scaling like a lot higher, then what I'll be doing is just doing a lot more of this, because then my lead gen is just taken care of, right? So I would say a good goal for anyone is launch 2 workshops a month, open and close your productized offer 2 times, or community 2 times a month. That's like the big thing. If you can do that, your goal, like you'll, especially if you're putting ads behind the workshops too. And if you're a little bit greener to launching ads, say like 1.5 workshops, meaning like every second one you're doing 2, every second month you're doing 2 workshops. That would be a really good target to aim for as well, especially if you're running some ads. Perfect. So typically I don't do month planning. Instead I just focus and then get to work week after week. All right, so let's do weekly protocol. So every week I've got a few overreaching big targets to hit. So this is an example. I took a page out of my journal here. You can tell my beautiful handwriting, but I've got 1 YouTube video published per week. I've got 1 offer open and closed. And then I've got a few things that rotate here. So maybe it's ads, maybe it's like updating sales page, maybe it's some maintenance thing. It doesn't matter. But this is literally like a 10-minute week process. I literally just write down what I want to get done. With core, these are the core things. The FTA is just like the things that I have to do. But these are like the big moving targets. Okay. And then daily protocol. So this is where things kind of take off in the important pieces, because this is actually what gets you the results, is doing these things daily. So my daily involves 3 core actions. So send a daily email, right? This becomes literally a daily post in the Facebook group. I do a daily post on my personal profile. And again, this might change a little bit when I start batch creating content for different platforms. And then client feedback. So support inside WhatsApp and School. And then work on an offer plus core weekly activity, whatever the focus is for the week. And then for health, meditate, journal, workout, exercise, clear start and end time. This is huge. So as entrepreneurs, it's very easy to say we can just work forever. And having a really clear, I end this time, will increase the amount you get done every single day. So if you say like, oh, I just kind of work until work's done, what your mind will do is it will start to get lazy, just simply because there's no predetermined amount of time that it knows it can work on things. So what I do instead is I'll say, I start at this time, I'm done at this time. As soon as this time hits, like I have to drop everything, that's it, it's over, right? Now this cadence may change a little bit. Again, going to start batching content, going to start working on a few more things for deploying a little bit more volume as we go. But overall, this is what I'm doing. And it's like, again, these are kind of the core things I would say. If you're doing these every single day, you will not have a money problem ever. Like daily email, daily post, work on an offer. That's like, and then client feedback, obviously, because you need to work with clients. That would be the absolute biggest things you could ever do. Cool. So this is a quick win play. I wanted to give you this just to literally get the ball rolling. So this was something fun I did, and this worked really well. I'm surprised. I think I got a client out of this. I can't remember. There was a bunch of comments, but it overall got a lot of attention. And I was surprised because I never thought like an offer-driven Facebook post would do so well. But you can definitely swipe and deploy this. I think the looking back of what worked well with this was just saying like, hey, here's an idea. Is this a good idea? And people commenting saying like, yeah, this is a great idea, right? So I think like one of the easiest things I can do now is if I ever wanted to test something, like just say, hey, I've got an idea. Would you like to do this? And I literally just turn this into a fun email I'll probably send out at one point. But you can model this exact play to pretty much any offer. So it doesn't matter what you're doing. Like we get together on Zoom, we're going to do this together, and then this is going to happen, right? And typically this is for any coaching program, like where you have a one-on-one onboarding session when they join, and then you support them for a certain amount of time. Use this, the shorter, the better. It works very, very well, as you can see, and it's something that you can test right away. So big thing, lead gen solves all problems. If you have client issues, like not enough clients, like just literally focus on getting leads. That's it. Like get some more leads, get some more buyers. Again, my recommendation, if you have any of my past training, is to always just like start with mid tickets because they're very easy to deploy. The page is very minimal. You can launch them very quickly. And if you start running some ads to those, like even lower cost ones, and they get validated, you can very easily turn them into a micro offer. Again, exactly like that person that I commented about a little bit earlier, I said like this person did the thing where they just used the AI ads, and this person like just showed up to the calls. This person actually did that. They took their mid-ticket offer, turned it into a micro offer, and then just it's working right now, bringing buyers every day. So I always say, if you're like, hey, I need leads right now, like start with a mid-ticket offer, because you can run ads to them. You can make the price a little bit lower if you want to get more volume, and you can run these very well with paid ads. So final thing, if you want my help, this community link is right here for the productized community. I'm keeping this open till Friday, and then the price is going up to 100 a week because one of the things I'm focusing on is increasing and doubling down on the quality of folks coming into our world. So if you're wanting some help, productized communities here, details are there. I'll just leave that. Otherwise, if you all have questions, I'm happy to answer them about anything. If you got offer questions, it doesn't matter. Yeah, that was the shortest workshop I've ever done. That was probably because I was sick and I kept it really simple. Tammy, go for it.
Okay. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Been a while since I've seen you. Okay,
Yeah, always
so
good.
I'm curious. Like, I loved your workshop, but I don't understand, and I guess it's like the details. Like, what are you helping us with? Is it creating Facebook ads? Is it working on that micro offer and making it like what is it that we are like working towards, I guess, with your offer?
I think the biggest thing is it's showing like the daily pieces that are kind of needed to keep everything moving forward. I would say like the biggest thing that I recommend to all people is start. Let me go up to this graph. I just didn't want to go too deep today talking about these things because I know a lot of people have these trainings, and if not, I can make them available. But coming up here, like this is literally the flow every single time. So it's like you start a productized offer, and then based on your productized offer and the vision you set, it determines the mid-ticket offer. So this is a mid-ticket offer as an example, right? It determines the workshops you're creating because you're designing the workshops you create to help people achieve this objective that you've set, this vision, right? And then what I recommend now is just rather than trying to come up with the perfect micro offer idea, test a bunch of these and see what works best, and whatever works well, especially with paid ads too, because you can run paid ads to these, then turn that into your micro offer. Does that make sense?
No, I think it's the language, Zach, that I'm having a problem with.
Okay.
Okay, so because I always see the micro offer as the first thing, like micro offer as a
Yeah.
lead magnet, right? So what is the difference between a micro offer and a productized offer? Because I'm thinking productized offer as something in my product suite, right? Like that's the mindset that I have, right? I have a product suite and that's a productized offer. So maybe it's the language that I'm not understanding.
Good question. So productized offer is actually a community driven offer. It's basically um in essence a very simple way for a person to start working with you. So it's not like actually a digital product. It's more of like that's our coaching program. That's our core as an example. And technically the community is one too. But the catalyst here is my productized offer. And this is the way, like, hey, if you're wanting to come into my world, help you install this model in your business, and then jump on 2 weekly calls together and get WhatsApp access and all those things, like you can join this, right? So in essence, the goal with a productized offer is that people can come into your world and get the result without you being the bottleneck of it. Does that make sense?
Okay, so one more time. So
Absolutely.
from what I understand, from what you're saying, is you're selling the big offer. So for instance, for me, I have a year-long mastermind, right? I have a year-long mastermind.
Yep.
So say I did a workshop. So what I'm understanding is you're wanting to create more of a community feel in the first part. So you're talking about your catalyst. I'd be talking about my year-long mastermind, and then like creating a workshop just to having a conversation around that. And then the micro offer would
So not
be
exactly. So not
okay.
exactly. So the idea behind the workshops is twofold. So the idea behind a mid-ticket does two things. And the the first is to bring people that are, let's just say, in your audience or cold through paid ads into your world, right? So that's the first thing. The second thing is it actually acts as a client delivery tool for existing clients. So when I finish this recording, it'll go into the learning portal for Catalyst members and community members. Yeah. And Fortune's like, yay. And that's where it will live, right? So then I'll say, hey, if you want to see like the daily process for actually implementing this model, go watch the plan. And that'll show you how to do it because that'll break down like the month, the weeks, the overview, like the subtle things that make it work, the differences, and like the core things you have to pay attention to actually implementing this model, right? So it's more principle focused. So it does two things, right? It serves clients, but then it also then becomes a tool for actually bringing new people into your world. Does that make sense?
Okay,
What you're doing is you're thinking of it from like you have your 1 year program, right? What is your vision for the 1 year program?
so what
Like,
the one oh so the vision of the 1 year program is to use human design and astrology so you become the algorithm, right? Like you said, you're not following other people's stuff, you're actually following what's right for you, right? So we do an entire year through this. Now I also have the Soul Present community where, like you said, yeah, like I'll do a workshop and then I'll put it in the community, right? So that's kind of like my second tier offer. And then, so what I do in my business was worked really, really well last year was I'm involved in 10 bundles next year, right? So in January, I got 300 leads into my email list, right? 300 leads that got into my email list. It's free. And then I do a workshop, say this Friday, from those 300 leads on, something that I'm going to offer my community anyway, but just kind of a micro way. And then saying, if you want to join the community or if you want more access to me or more access to this, then join, the mastermind or join the community, right? So I like that's kind of how I'm feeling what you're saying.
in a way, so in my mind, like a productized offer is basically just working with you, but different levels of access. So as an example, the community level that I just opened in this is very little of me in comparison, right? So it's basically like, hey, you get community support, you get help. Like we have a dedicated copywriter that does copy reviews. We have like another great guy named Marty who does offer reviews and all those pieces, but you're not actually getting like me and my eyes on your offer. And so the productized offer is like a multi-tiered offer that is like, okay, it's my base level community, it's working with me, and then it's also one-on-one. The only thing that changes there is just the level of access, right? So ideally, like, correct me if I'm wrong, you have your year-long mastermind. Those people are all living in your community as well, right? Like they got access to that. So then yours would be like, okay, well, I have my base level community, which is what's the price point of that?
$47 a month.
Okay. So you have your 47, I don't like those, but that's fine. So $47 per month. And then you have your year-long one-on-one mastermind, or is it one-on-one or what's the process?
No, it's a group program. It's a group mastermind.
Perfect. Okay, so group mastermind right here. And is the only thing that changes the level of access to you, or are they entirely different offers?
No, level of access. So community is the vault, mastermind is mentorship.
Okay, perfect. So then you have your community, you have your mastermind, and then you probably, if you wanted to, you could have a one-on-one level there.
And I have a
That-
one-on-one mentorship. Yeah.
That offer suite, consider that your productized offer. Does that make
Okay.
sense?
Yeah.
So consider all of those in your productized offer. The only thing that changes is just they can shoot, because you can have different products inside an offer, right? So you can have like, hey, if you want to downgrade or upgrade or whatever, you're still in the same container in essence. Then for what you would be doing is saying, okay, well, your people are paying you $47 a month. I'm assuming you're hosting workshops or doing something for those people, right?
No, they get access to the workshop as I film it. So really I'm just filming it and then they just get access to it later, but I don't do coaching in that,
Yeah.
unless I'm answering questions. Yeah.
Cool. So exactly the same thing. So whatever you're doing for those people, like let's just say it's inside your $47 a month thing, and you're saying like, hey, we're doing a workshop on this. A mid ticket for you might be, okay, well, if I'm doing a workshop for these people already, I should just sell tickets to it, to my audience. Does that make sense? So
That's
then you
what I do. Yeah.
Okay, great. And then what you're doing then is taking the best performing one of those, and you're probably going to turn it into your micro offer.
That's where you lost me again. But that's okay. It's probably just it's probably just a language, I've been watching way too many marketing things. So it's probably just a languaging thing.
Where are you getting lost though? Just so I'm saying you take a workshop you did and you turn it into your micro offer. Why is that? What is the
Okay. Now I get that.
Does that make sense? Okay, cool.
It does make sense.
What was I saying before that was confusing, just so I never say it again?
Okay, so for me, it's like when I hear micro offer, I hear lead magnet.
Okay, got it.
And so then when so it almost looks like it's going backwards. Like when I look at productized suite, I see that as the big thing, and then I see micro offer as lead magnet, and that's where I was getting confused. So I appreciate your time and
no, that's good. Okay, cool. So yeah, no, I'm not talking about that. I just to take a specific workshop that works really well, turn that into your micro offer. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Fortune said build backwards and sell upwards. Yeah, Fortune's like Zach's brain, from $47 a month to $47 a week. Honestly, it would probably work pretty well to do that. I don't know how many people you have in the 47 a month, but yeah, I always like higher priced communities. It just, unless you have a huge amount of volume, that's my thing. And that's Dave, that's the big reason why I think I personally would rather have like 5 or 10 people paying me like 47 a week rather than a few more that are paying 47 a month, especially because the thing I find is that unless it's like anything under $100, it kind of, in my mind, falls in that like Netflix subscription like category that's like, this is an easy to cancel expense. Whereas like for 47 a week, you can get it gives you also the price leverage where we can do a little bit more intimacy with members. We also have less people, which is great because again, we're doing copy reviews for people. We're doing all of these different things, which is why I charge our community 75 a week and it's going up to 100. How many people take hold on. I'm just going to make sure I answer my questions in order here. Is it the same workshop twice a month, every month? Change it up. Oh, Tammy, is that your question too? About the workshop, same workshop twice a month? No, I do different workshops. Yeah, different workshops. So again, the way I see workshop is like, I need to create content for clients. I will create different workshops to cater and create that content. So I'm basically just, again, getting premium buyers, and then also making sure that I'm delivering. What difference between get some sales but not consistently profitable and profitable? I'm not sure. Okay, good. Fortunate answer that. Lead gen for lower price offer or freebie offer from NAM. Yeah, I think it's like it comes down to what you want to do on that front. I always say like, I don't know, I'm gonna test the free thing. I haven't tested the free opt-in to a paid offer yet, and I will this year. I've got it on my list this week to just throw something up really quick and just start testing it and see what happens. I personally just always find that having like a paid offer right on the front is great. But I think for opt-ins and stuff, especially if you're doing more content, like having a free offer is the way to go. You definitely want something for free that people can just opt into, because they might read 10 pieces of your content and then opt into your list. And I'm like, well, that person is just as qualified in my mind as a person that literally like has purchased something for $15 and goes through the course, right? Because they're actually getting exposure to me. And that's the biggest thing I just want, is I just want quality people. I'm not trying to, I saw some people that were like, yeah, I'm gonna like get, like 80,000 people on my email list this year. And I just thought, I do not want that. Like, I don't need that many people. And if you get too many of the wrong people, your deliverability starts going down. It's just a whole mess of issues. So yeah, that's the thing. Chris, I'm curious how many people take up the weekly versus the paid in full. Good question, man. I want to say like 15%, off the top of my head, like 15% probably take a quarterly or a pay in full option. It's a lot higher than I thought it would be, but yeah, and there's ways to incentivize that as well. It just depends what you're optimizing for. Like, as an example, if you wanted way more pay in fulls, make your weekly way more expensive and you'll get more pay in fulls, right? Easy thing you can do as well is if you had people come into your group right away, you could say, hey, you can take the first month of weekly payments and apply that to a pay in full, right? And just prorate it. That's an easy upgrade opportunity too. But I would say like 15%. Yeah, cool. Right now, only selling payments over 3 payments. What's your offer price, Chris? $3K. Okay, cool. So 3K for 6 months access. Okay. You're in wholesaling, right? You're real estate investing?
Yes. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm in real estate wholesaling. So actually the offer it's the same thing. It's an offer suite. It's in the community. And so the price for the community is 2K for 6 months. However, we do have a done for you add-on that if they added that, it becomes 3K.
Okay.
And so I have been my area of concern with getting doing the weekly is because of not getting the right client. The clients that we need to have a bit of money in order to advertise for obtaining leads, because that's what we teach them. And to a certain extent, if they don't have money for leads, they wouldn't have money for the product.
Okay, I see what you mean. How much? Oh yeah, because they gotta buy. That makes sense. How much capital they need to start for, like, let's just say a month or 2 month window?
Well, we tell them they should have at least it's not that much, $20 a day, which is $600 a month over 3 months. So it's about 2,500 at a minimum. That's what we tell them. And
Okay.
yeah,
I think what you could do, like, the
yeah.
the nice thing is all of these are tools and play to your advantage. So an easy thing that I see there is if you wanted to test the weekly, the frame that I would be doing is just saying we're doing this as your kind of like pay as you land deals or something like that, right? And in essence, you could even say like I'm doing this as an experiment at the top of the page very easily. But you could say like you'll need $600. Even in the investment terms, you could say you're gonna dollars a month to get started. which is why what I'm doing for you is helping you save significantly. And instead of having to, and which is why you can get started for this price per week, right? So by doing that, like then you could just make it really clear that they have to pay 600 right in the terms, but then also then you're framing that like to actually help you get the cash. We're making it easy for you to pay us over time.
Yeah, what I'm doing now is I'm testing as if they say no to the offer, and then I'll ask them, hey, I've got an unadvertised, link for this pricing. If you're interested, just to play around with it. Um, but I've just been hesitant on doing the weekly because obviously I'd rather get the 2 or the 3K,
Yeah.
or the 3 payment option because I think you likely have more longer term clients, meaning that in the wholesaling space sometimes it's a bit more biz up, meaning that they
Yeah.
have quite a bit of enthusiasm, but then that enthusiasm may wane, and so I think that you may have the potential to collect more than I do. Potentially, I could be incorrect, but that's also my perception.
I think in every market there's like I've had don't get me wrong, churn is in every business. I've had definitely my fair share of churn over 12 months. Um, I think that you will always like the benefit of doing the weekly is you're just making it very easy for a person to say yes, right? Because
Yeah,
sometimes it's just getting over that initial yes, and once they're actually in motion and doing the work, they're like, oh, this is actually great, like it's working, right? Because
yeah,
if we can just get them to say yes, most of them will, especially for wholesaling. Like again, it's just following the process, right? They follow the process enough, it'll probably work, right? So my whole thing with the weekly is I just want to make it as frictionless as possible for them to say yes and get started. Because if they can actually come in and start getting a result, then they're way more likely to stay, which is why
yeah, yeah.
first thing I say is, hey, go run this 14-day Rainmaker campaign and get a client.
No, that makes sense. I did want to tell you, I would encourage you to do YouTube, only because, like, just my example, like, I'm in your Facebook group,
Yep.
but Facebook is very messy, and I'm on YouTube all the time, and so I had not really consumed any of your videos inside the group. But when you did post on YouTube, I had consumed probably more in the last, all the videos that you created than in the previous times.
Yep.
So it's easier. And then I find for me, I do stuff on YouTube, and the best clients come from YouTube because they already have, binged on so much content that they're already pre-sold. They just want to figure out the specifics of the offer and see if they can make it work.
Yeah, that's such a good point. And yeah, 100% I agree. I need to, I just haven't been making it a habit and we were moving. So I had like a month of not doing anything there, but 100% getting back into it full swing now. And I would agree with you. I'd say like probably the best clients I've found, and if you just think like it's pretty obvious if you think about but longer form content. So one of the things I didn't write, but I'm definitely going to test this year is books as well and creating books because I know like really good. Yeah, Fortune. There you go. Fortune's like, hey, come talk to me over here. Yeah, man, we'll definitely have a chat about that. But definitely like readers, they're definitely readers. They go through a lot of information in depth. And then they're exactly like what you found with videos. Like they're gonna not just watch a 60-second reel. Like they want to sit down and go deep into a topic.
Yeah.
So I completely agree. The treadmill keeps stopping. Cool, man. But I would say honestly, I think you could test it. And if you wanted to do it, you would just want to frame why you're doing it and why it's important because you're going to say, yeah, like we realize people need $600 when they're getting started, which is why I wanted to make it easy to do that so that you can get started right now for this per week. And then you could say, and
Yeah.
after the first month, if you want to upgrade and save to pay in full, like you can take the entire first month and do that. That's what I would be doing.
Yeah. I'll have to test that out.
It's
Thank
all
you.
testing, right? It may
Yeah.
work horrific or it may just be beautiful. You never know, right? Like we'll just
Yeah.
that's part of it. Cool. Excited for you.
Thank you.
Fortune, good to see you, man. Drop my ring here.
There we go. Yeah, I just wanted to say real quickly about doing the work and showing up to the calls and doing the some minor things and so forth. And let me know if my signal starts going silly. Coming to the calls, getting your feedback and all that type of stuff. I was like, let me go check my ads today, and I finally hit high performing. I've like I came here, my ads were costing me like per sale for my books was like 25 or something like that, and now we're right around $14 following like the little template you gave and saying, hey, change this, change your ad setup to this, and change, different things of the different calls I've been on and making those little tweaks, and some work, some didn't. But just wanted to come on and just when you said that, I was like, let me tell people, let me give them a little proof of evidence of somebody that's actually listening and doing the work. And it took a little bit, a few weeks to get there, but they got there. So
It got there, man.
It's pretty awesome. Yes, whenever you're ready for the books, I'm ready.
That's amazing.
And the other client, based on using what you guys taught me, my client has even gotten better results than me. Like his stuff went to high performing before mine, using the same strategies you got me, but I used it with his. He's making his ROAS is higher, is almost double mine. I'm like, all right, whatever, it's working. It's all good.
I love that, man. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for sharing that. And yeah, I know I think the consistency piece is part of it. And I am definitely one to say, like, I am not someone that is going to try to hit a home run every single time, but I'll aim for singles, man. Like I'll aim for singles every hit I can get. So that's how I play it. And I think it works well. So I'm super pumped for you though. That's amazing. Appreciate it, Chris. Yeah, man, that's awesome. Alvin, you got a question?
I do. Yeah, I posted it in the chat also. But as I'm growing my offer for the coaching, I've only got a couple clients. I've got like 5 clients, and they don't always show up on the meeting. So I have like a 3-person meeting. It just feels like I don't have that velocity. Whereas when you have, let's say, 10, 20, 30 people, how do you get your coaching offer jump started when you haven't had that momentum yet with enough participants?
I think I had 4 people on my call today, so it was funny you say that. And it was a really good call. Are you just talking specifically about members, like getting more members in, or is it about getting them to the calls, or is it about like structuring the program? What specifically?
Right. So, I mean, I do a lot of one-on-one coaching. When I do the group calls, I feel like there's not as much momentum because there's not as many people. When you have obviously more people, there's more dynamics going on in the call. And I almost feel like, they could be thinking, hey, I'm the only one in this program. Am I going to get the value from it? Whereas when there's more people, you're generating more, more interest and more questions and everything like that. I feel like it's a little bit forced as I'm speaking with them. I don't know if that makes sense or not, but
yeah. So do you have one-on-one clients too, and then you have the group clients separate? Okay, cool.
Yes.
Easiest thing to do is just put all of the one-on-one clients and group clients together. And if you want to just get the engagement higher, like get a WhatsApp or a Discord or whatever, like some form of a chat group together, and just do that, and your engagement will take care of itself.
I guess the question is, should I keep everyone on a one-on-one basis until I get those higher numbers up, and then pull them together for the group meetings so that we create that that higher velocity?
The thing I would say is like exactly like mine is a tiered system, right? So I have my one-on-one clients, and then those one-on-one clients have access to everything below. So they have access to the group calls, they get access to the group WhatsApp, like everything there. And then those group people all get access to the community. And it was hilarious because I was on a group call that I host, and someone was like, hey, I see these, like, there's these calls here with Cyan and Marty. Like, do we get access to those? And I said, yeah, absolutely you do. Like, go jump on them if you want them. They're great, right? And so oftentimes, like, people just aren't aware of the options available to them. And for you, the easiest thing I would say is just bring your one-on-one clients all together, put them in some sort of a group chat. That's like such an easy win. And then start hosting group calls and let the one-on-one clients know they're all invited to come. And that would be the easiest thing.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
And honestly, a lot of those ideas are often in our brain, because if you think about it, like if I buy a program from someone and I'm like one of two people on a group call, I'm gonna be so happy, like so happy because I get that person all to myself. Like that's amazing.
Sure, that makes sense. Yeah, that's a great concept. I love it. I'm glad you
Right?
said that.
It's so true. I'm like, this is awesome. I'm in group. I'm getting like 50% of this call to myself. Like, hell yeah. I would
Okay.
take that any day. I would
Gotcha.
hope for that. I would hope for that. And
Yeah.
that's even one of the things I've had to write. Like, and people ask me is they're like, oh, how busy are the group calls? Right. And what I had to do last year, especially was we would get and it got to the point where the group calls were so big sometimes that I would literally be answering questions for 2.5 hours straight. So what we did is we changed it now where people have to like pre-submit questions to the calls, and it worked really, really well to fix that. But at the same time, like I had people questioning, like asking me, like, oh, how I'm really busy, like how many people are jumping on the group calls? So saying, oh, it's a really small group, like there's only 2 or 3 people showing up to each call. Sometimes you might be the only one, like that's a win. That's a win.
Okay, cool. I appreciate that perspective.
Yeah, no worries. No worries. Anyone else want to jump on? Vicky, I'm loving your offer, by the way. Did you see my comments?
Yeah, I just got to them this morning.
Okay,
So
cool.
I'll action that today. That's epic. Thank you so much. Always appreciate your feedback.
No problem. Yeah, I think just change, you need to change the lead. That's the biggest thing. Like the start of it. Like you see my video there, but I think you need to like if you can put a metaphor in there to frame that whole thing, like I did with Dan's,
Yeah.
that like that stuff in your market works so good because a lot of the times it's very hard to see. But if you can just put like a metaphor or something to describe it, like it's like doing this, then that will just, and you just put that as like the first kind of sub headline when somebody enters the page to lead it, and then just describing what it is, saying it's like this, then everyone will be like, oh, I get it. That makes sense.
Yeah.
That's kind of what you need. I think that was the missing piece I saw.
What's our
Yeah,
offer,
that's-
Zach?
It's quantum projection, which is really damn cool. It's about connecting with your $1 million self, and then literally just because amazing ideas that it's like there's a version of you in another realm, and Vicky knows this better than I do. I'm just going off what I know, but there's a version of you in another dimension that's already achieved everything you want. So Vicky's offer teaches you how to actually connect with that person and then let them guide you, which is really damn cool. Yeah. All right,
Hey,
y'all.
Dave, didn't you have a question? Did you get your
Uh,
question answered?
Yes, I did.
Oh, beautiful.
Uh,
Thanks, Fortune.
Thank you. Nice to meet you, Zach. Thanks for
Pleasure, Dave.
answering my previous question. And before I ask the question, I meant to say thank you for the slight edge recommendation in one of your emails. I ended up reading the book. It's very good. So
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I'm happy that worked for you. I read that one years ago, but it's stuck to me. It's a really good read.
he keeps repeating the idea over and over in different ways. So I know what you mean. Like he rewires that idea in. Yeah, it's good. It's good. So what I was going to ask is like when you are now setting up a low ticket offer with Facebook ads, what are your
Yep.
current recommended targets for cost per click, click-through rate, conversion rate? Like I know you'd mentioned until while you sleep 3%, but I was wondering what is realistic for the higher end that you want to iterate up to? Like what is kind of like the starting goal and then the dream goal kind of a thing, you know?
Great question. Have you launched the offer yet? Or
So I'm literally about to launch the offer in the next day or two. So I just kind of want to
Okay.
be mentally prepared for like
Cool.
knowing how I'm doing relatively, right?
yeah, that's a good frame. So I would say like your goal should be, and what's the price point? Because the price point makes a difference.
It's going to be $3.
It's gonna be $3. Okay. So
Yeah.
I would be aiming like well above 7% conversion rate of cold traffic. That would be like okay, like for $3, you could probably even be higher because you need it to make the math work. But I would say above, if 7% of your traffic is converting into a buyer, that's a good start, I would say. Click-through rates on the ads, anything above like I would say a 1 or 1.2 is good. I find like 1 is basically your baseline. So as long as you're above 1%, like 1 to 2% is, or 1 to 1.5% click-through rate is okay. Everything above 1.5 is great. And I would probably just start with that. You don't
Okay.
hyper obsess over more things like that. But that's kind of the biggest thing that I would say is you're either going to launch it, it's going to work well, and you're going to make sales, but you're not making enough money because the your average order value isn't there, meaning you don't have your order bumps in your upsell, which is fine. You just launched it. You don't have to have that stuff perfect yet. Or you're going to find that the conversion rate is very low on the page. Typically, I find like the ads normally work. It's always the conversion rate on the page, which means you want to then go fix the offer. And typically it's something to do with the sales page.
Okay. So if so 7% is what you ultimately want to aim for, like at the beginning, would you recommend like 3% shows that there's something there and you iterate from there? Like what is the mindset there?
What's the market?
So I guess this would be like more kind of like mental health, something like that. For
Mental
like
health?
like reduce stress, like reduce stress.
Reduce stress. And okay, so I mean, I think for $3 it should be like a bit higher. I think like if you're around a $27 price point, then like
Yeah.
that's fine. But I think for a $3 price point, like you should probably be somewhere in the like I would say minimum is 5, but even then your numbers are going to be really tough to work.
Okay.
And I know you just want to see some momentum, so
Yeah.
this is what I would do. I wouldn't worry about it right now. I would just launch the thing and see what happens and then like go from there. And if your numbers, let's just say this, if your numbers are below 7% after you spend $100 on ads, I would say, okay, there's something wrong with this offer. I need to fix it. And it doesn't necessarily mean the entire product is bad. It just means the way you've positioned the offer needs to change, right? And like,
Yeah.
great example of this, I built an offer for a client and literally he built an entirely different product. And I just wrote what I wanted to. I'm like, I'm just going to build you what I want to build you. And it works really well. And he's like, yeah, people have like questions because it's different. And I'm like, okay, well, let's just go like update this a little bit. But the nice thing is like the product didn't have to change that much. We just changed the way it was structured in the learning portal and it was fine. So that's like the big thing that I would recommend is just like start with launching it and see what happens, and then you can make adjustments. That's okay. Like just spend $100 and see what happens.
Okay, so if $100, would you say $50 a day, $100 a day? Like what would
You could spend $50. You could spend $50 for 2 days. That would be the easiest thing.
just, and that'll give me the answer. Okay,
Yep.
good deal.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
No problem. I wish you much success. And I want
Thank
you to just come back and be like, it's working. That's what I hope. That's what I hope happens.
right.
Again, if it needs changing, just go through. Oh, a big thing to do, install. There's a tool called Clarity FM. It's free by Microsoft. And that'll give you heat maps. So that's the way I've diagnosed offers in the past and still do sometimes to this day. It just depends on the offer. But that'll literally show you what users are doing. So you can see very clearly, like, and I'm giving you all the things that are going to happen. Like if it doesn't work, because if it works, you don't do anything. It's just great. If it doesn't work, then what you might want to look at is say like, okay, well, with this tool, where are people dropping off? So are people literally reading the headline and then leaving the page, or are they reading the headline and then maybe like scrolling down a tiny bit and leaving? And if that's happening, then that says, oh, there's a big problem with the headline and maybe the lead as well.
Okay, just out of curiosity, like where do you see the price point like changing the conversion rates? Like if you jump from 3 to 5, do you see a difference? 3 to 7, 3 to 10, like how does it work?
I haven't extensively tested that myself, but the big thing I see is there's kind of like this number that's probably like 3 and 5 would be pretty similar. I find like 10 to 15 somewhere in there is a really good sweet spot. Yeah. I like to price everything right now for micro offers under $15. I don't like to go, I used to price stuff at 27. I don't like to go that high anymore just because my goal with the micro offer is just increase the volume of buyers. And so I find at the 27, it's like people start thinking a little bit more.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, thank you.
Makes sense? Cool. No worries. Yeah, Clarity is free. Your client's conversion rate is
Can I say
16.
something to his
Yeah.
Zach, to something Dave just said there. From my experience here dealing with the $3 and $5, and I sell my books at $3. My clients always sell at like $5 or higher. The difference is not necessarily so much the conversion changes, like to Zach's point, doesn't necessarily change as much. The quality of that lead changes. The people that I have that are coming $5 or more are buying more upsells and things of that nature. Whereas the $3 clients, I have people that fail payment on $3, but they want the product. And I'm okay with that because I'm trying to cover my ad spend. Cover my ad spend. So I'm okay with that, but I don't do that for my clients. I make sure they're getting higher quality.
Oh, that's interesting. So $5 actually has been attracting a higher client for you guys, huh? That's interesting.
Oh yeah. So that's the thing is that not all buyers are created equal, right? And so if you, as an example, if I run $100 workshop, the quality of the person is going to be significantly different. And I know if I ran this workshop to paid ads with a $25 price point, probably the quality would be very different than if I ran it for 100. So as you increase your price, the quality of the person typically increases. The number of people you get decreases.
Mm-hmm.
That's the frame of it. So I always found like $10 to $15 is a good sweet spot. And I don't know, it just depends how many bonuses and what you've put in there, right? Funny enough, like Fortune says quality, like when Sell Will You Sleep used to be a $3 product when I just launched it, and like I had 8-figure business owners buying that. I was looking through the leads and I'm like, wow, I know this person's owner, right? Like I had some really, really good people on the list. So that again I was one of the first to roll out a $3 offer that like really took it with paid ads. Like my opt-in rate was crazy. It was like 25% opt-in on the sales page. Like it was nuts. And so that was like I kind of just timing everything worked really, really well for the $3. Nowadays, I don't know, because I see people launching $1 stuff. I see people launching $3 stuff. So you might just want to test, Dave, and see what works. It's all a testing game. But yeah, I recommend like for anyone right now, like 10 to 14.95, somewhere in there. That's kind of my go-to.
All right. Thank you.
No worries. All right, y'all. It was a pleasure. Franker and everything $1. I will catch you all around. Thanks for showing up. And I'll see you on the next one. Cheers.